we're going to add a color grade to this image. Okay, so we've got this open. Make sure that you've got cameraman.jpg open inside of Photoshop CC. You can also use Photoshop CS6 for this activity if you need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to the Adjustments tab. Okay, if you don't see that, obviously we can go to Window and just ensure that Adjustments is open. Now we're going to click on this one, okay, which is the Color Lookup Adjustment layer. Okay, that adds a new adjustment layer there and opens up this dialog which allows us to add a lookup table file. I'm going to click this and as you can see we've got a whole bunch of presets that we can choose if we want, but I want you to load a 3D LUT file. Now, I've actually given you one in the color grading session 1 folder, so let's just open this. It's called a basic color upgrade and it's a .cube file, okay, which is the way that Photoshop works with color lookup tables. So let's just click this and apply it, and instantly you can see a major change. So that color lookup table has now been applied to this image. Now it's a little too extreme for my liking at the moment, but bear in mind that you can use the same lookup table on any image you want. I can also see that it's affecting some of these pixels in the image. So what I need to do is actually reduce this opacity. I'm going to reduce it to around 54%. There we go. You can actually just click and type the number in there if you want. And notice the difference there. So if I switch this off, you get this rather bland looking image that has very little contrast in it. With the application, I've now got much more contrast, but I am aware that I've got some kind of banding in my image. Now that is a result of my camera phone not being fantastic. So that's actually just in the camera phone itself. It's not a problem with the lookup table. Okay, next I want to actually just warm this image up a little bit. So I'm going to click anywhere. So make sure you haven't got that layer selected. We're going to go back to adjustments. We're going to add a new one. Now that is one way that you can do it. You can also come down here as well to these adjustment layer. I suppose it's a kind of an icon at the bottom, and you can also do this as well. You can click color lookup. Okay, and it does exactly the same thing. Now what I'm going to choose from here is crisp warm look. Okay, which is just there. Okay, now instantly, once again, it blows the image out. It's a little too extreme. So what I want to do is reduce this opacity down to about 32%. So I'm just going to click in there, just type in 32. Okay. So the difference there just warms it up a little bit. And that's generally what color grading is. It's changing the kind of values in your image to give it a certain feel or a look. Now I want this to be quite a warm, friendly kind of photo. When I started, it was relatively bland and a little bit washed out. Not as friendly as I would like it to be, or as comfortable. Now that, I would actually be quite happy with that as a color grade, but I can continue to actually adjust this. So if I once again click on this icon at the bottom, and perhaps what I could do here is maybe just add a little bit of vibrance to the image. So if I click on this, I could now perhaps increase the saturation just slightly, and I could also take this vibrance, which is now going to manipulate these images, just make them even more warm. It's going to give it a warmer feel to it. Okay, plus 30, okay, quite extreme. And I might even want to experiment at this point, so I might change my blend mode on this and see what I get. Okay, so the multiply is quite extreme there. Quite like the light in there, that's quite nice. And the hard mix gives you something that's quite bespoke, quite unusual. Okay, so let me try an overlay on this one and actually just reduce the opacity until I get something that I'm quite happy with. Notice how it reduces some of that banding. It's still there, we can still see it, but that was present in the original photo. So we've gone from that, which I would feel is more of a professional result anyway, to this, which is perhaps a little too much. So perhaps around 34%. Okay, so just darkened it slightly. And that's it really. Okay, so that image could very well be color graded now.